Hey guys, what's going on? Skyfactory here and welcome to my tutorial to make these bad boys in my hands. This is my slime tutorial on Skyfactory 3. I've done quite a bit of refining with this, I guess you could call it a mini factory, but I'm going to be calling this a slime generator since you're generating slimes. Now, there's quite a lot to this form. This is the first version I made, which it works well, but this is the more refined, better version. I learned from this one and made it a bit better. So first I'm going to go through this one, and I'm going to go through this one. Then I'm actually going to show you block for block how I made this. But to be honest, once I show you the information, you shouldn't actually need the tutorial, so the showcase should be enough. But if you're not confident in making it with your own slight different design with the information I gave you, then you can just copy it block for block as I go through the tutorial. So let's start off straight away. So this is the very first design I did. Now, to make the slime, there's quite a lot you have to do. So to make slime, you need blood and clay. And to make blood, so this is full of, well, this is getting filled with blood. And you get blood by putting clay, no, you get blood by putting witch water into a stone barrel with compressed flesh blocks, and that turns it into blood. Now to get witch water, you need to have water on top of mycelium. So this is the very first thing I made these barrels and system first, so that I can actually get blood, which is probably the most complicated part. Now I had no idea how fast these things transform, so I went for a very rough number. At first I went for quite a lot of witch water with not very many barrels, thinking that I would use the witch water really fast. But it's actually the opposite. The stone barrels with the witch water turning into blood transform a lot slower than the water on top of the mycelium turning into witch water. And so yeah, this is actually completely backed up because these are completely full. So this just really didn't work very well. It was too much witch water and not enough stone barrels making blood. So that's why this is all backed up. So I fixed that in my next design. And over here, to supply the water, I'm using a sink, which is like basically an unlimited water source. And I'm using my Cobblestone Generator here to supply this lava, but I'll go into that in 2 minutes. So the water supplies all these barrels with water, which on top of my ceiling, which transforms it into witch water, which gets sucked up into these tanks, and it comes out of these tanks into these stone barrels with the compressed flesh blocks, which is basically just rotten flesh. These are really easy to make, nothing complicated. So this all turns into blood, and that gets took through this fluid tank into these stone barrels. Now I've got 8 stone barrels, thinking that I was going to be making loads at once, but notice they actually fill up really slowly because it's getting spread out over 8, so it's not ideal. And then once they get the clay in, they turn into congealed, oh, it's blue slime, but it works the same as regular slime, and they get sucked up and put into the straw. Now, to all this, making this isn't too complicated. It's this bit that's a bit more resource intensive. So this is all just to make clay. So I've got my Cobblestone Generator here, going to 9 crucibles. Honestly, you don't need to make it this big. You can make this so much smaller, but I've made this because in your world you should already have some sort of lava generation going by the time you're making this. So I made this really quickly. These are just crucibles on top of netherrack that are on fire for the 4x rates. So that's all making lava going to this tank, which goes into these 3 generators, which is powering these machines. Now, from that Cobblestone Generator, there's also going into this auto hammer, which is turning cobblestone into gravel, the gravel into sand, the sand into dust, and the dust goes into this wooden barrel with water going in from another sink. You could use the other sink and pipe it up here. I just wanted to make things fast, so I just made another sink. They're quite cheap to make. So that gets filled with water. The dust from this auto hammer goes into it to make clay. Now I've got the clay going into the straw since it backs up in this system, and the clay goes into this sag mill, I think it's called. Yeah, the sag mill, which crushes it and turns it into clay. Now the clay then goes up into the system, into the stone barrels with the blood in to turn into the blue slime. But as a side effect, when you sag mill clay blocks, you also get silicon as a side thing. So we also get silicon from this design as well. As it's like a nice little bonus. Obviously, I mean, you will need silicon for the better storage systems in the future. So if you need silicon, this is also a great way to get that as well. And but yeah, the main focus of this is to get the slime, not the silicon. That's just a nice little extra. So with that information, really, I've already told you how to make this thing. But then I went over and I wasn't very happy with the design. The witch water was backing up so much and all this stuff was backing up, and I didn't like how this was really filling slowly. So I went over here and I made a new design. And I'm also going to set the weather to clear because it's kind of annoying. So just like before, we've got these wooden barrels on top of mycelium, turning the water into witch water. Now this time I've only got 8 wooden barrels. Before I had about, I think it was like 16. Was it 16? I had quite a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I had 16 barrels before. So I've cut that right in half. And this time I've got 22 stone barrels on top of the congealed flesh block. And this works out really, really evenly. So that is very, very slowly going up. That's been like for hours and hours to get that much. And that's still going to go down, then back up, then down and back up. But yeah, I found that 8 wooden barrels works really well with 22 stone barrels for the transformation. This all makes blood, and this goes through just 2 fluid tanks. And instead of having 8 stone barrels turning into clay, I've got 1 stone barrel. It all goes into one, gets filled, goes out, gets filled again. As you can see, it's filling up pretty fast. This generator is so much more efficient than the last one. Now in this draw, I sorted both these forms at the exact same time to see if this one actually is faster and more efficient. I've got 6 stacks and 9 here, and if I go over here, I have 4 stacks and 54. So it's not a massive difference, but it's definitely big enough to make this one a lot more worth it, and it's less resource intensive. So for this design, as you can see, I've gone through the same system there. You have to start with the witch water into the barrels making the blood, into the barrels making the clay. And over here I have the same 3x3 crucibles going into a tank, into 3 generators. Honestly, you could just do this with 1 generator and probably 2 crucibles if you want, but I'm doing it this way because that way you can use these generators and the lava to power other machines while you're at it. So I want this to be multifunctional. And it's basically the exact same design as before. We got the 3 auto hammers going into a barrel, except this time, instead of having everything clog up in the sag mill, the clay goes into here, and a clay actually goes into here from the sag mill. So in the other sag mill, the clay was actually getting backed up in here, and it couldn't actually sag mill anymore because it was going straight from the sag mill into the stone barrel. Whereas this time I'm filtering it through a basic drawer. So also, if you need clay, you'll have loads here as well, because eventually that will get full as well, so we'll have that more drawers at some point. But it's going to take a long time for that to happen. And so it's going straight from the drawer into the barrel, and the barrel, the slime, is going into the straw. And also, of course, we have the same silicon going here. And we actually have 15 stacks and 32 silicon. And on this one we have 9 stacks and 4. So it's a big difference because this sag mill is totally blocked up. It can't do anything more. And that's why having the drawer for the clay is so important, because it stops everything from getting backed up. And so there's no issues with this one, with getting backed up. I mean, you can make more clay if you want. That one's also really struggling for power. That's interesting. Are these full? Anyway, yeah. So these things are making clay. And that's basically how I'm making the slime. So it's a pretty simple process. I would call this a mid-range form. You can make much smaller ones than this if you wanted. You could have like 1 wooden barrel and like, I don't know, 6 stone barrels. Yeah, you could use whatever lava generation you already have going on the island, assuming you have one. And you could even manually make clay from smashing the cobblestone yourself instead of using auto hammers. And you can make this a lot more simple, but I want this to be mid-range, so you've already got most of the stuff. You should be able to make, if you're making this blue slime, it means you're at a point where you already have most of this stuff ready and prepared. So I'm going to go through the tutorial now of how I made this block for block, and yeah, let's do this thing. Okay, so to get started, we're going to do this in sections. So I'm going to start with the witch water transformation area. So to make that, we're going to need a sink, 8 wooden barrels, 8 mycelium, a bunch of fluid conduits, as many tanks as you want. To be honest, I'm gonna make this with one tank because you don't need more than one. And there I put 4 just as like a backup. But to be honest, I would put 4 just for the sake of it in case something goes wrong. And let's say the stone barrels break or a conduit breaks. That way you've got loads of witch water being prepped while you're trying to fix it, and you'll lose less resources that way. So I am going to be making with 4, just for that reason. So to start, go put our sink here. I should start by saying this platform is 13 blocks by 16 blocks. Just if you want to base that, if you want to make this island exactly this big, like an island just for slime forming, that's the size that you need. But of course you can make it any size you want. You can change the locations and shape of this, but for the purpose of this tutorial I'm doing just the way I did it, which is not the prettiest, but it just works. So you place the sink one corner in, and next to the sink you want to break 8 blocks, so 4 by 2. I will place mycelium in that. If you're not sure how to get mycelium, it's pretty easy. You get it from oh no, actually you need what's it? Is it spores? Ancient spores, which you get from sieving sand in at least an iron sieved mesh, and that drops ancient spores, which you put under dirt, which turns into mycelium. So it's pretty simple. You're going to get 8 wooden barrels and put them on here like this. Now, once you have that, what you want is for these to fill with water, so that when we put the conduits on the sides to bring the witch water out, it'll finish transforming. So we want to put the water in first before we do anything. And to do that, we're going to insert these pipes. Now these are fluid conduits. They're part of Ender.io. They're pretty easy to make. It's just glass and conduit binder. Conduit binder is really simple to make. It's kind of like making grout for the smeltery. Clay, gravel and sand. You should all be able to make that very easily. Now what we want to do is over here, we want to right click on this square and change to extract. Left click, always active, and that pumps out water into these, and these will slowly start to fill up. I say slowly, but it's actually pretty fast. And you'll see straight away it says a wooden barrel transforming 80%. That means that's working. Because it's on mycelium, the water is going to turn into witch water. And now you can't actually filter out between you say in and out, but the problem is that if you do that, it might suck up the water. So I have this on the side just to ensure that it definitely works the way we want it to work. I've got these guys like that, and then we want to put it into a tank. As you see over here, I've just got a 2x2 area of tanks, which works pretty well. So you just go like that. Perfect. Now I'm going to get everything to come into this tank from these other 3. But first, to make this extract, we have to click on them all. I'm going to extract, always active. The same as that basically. We'll do that on all 8 of these. Okay, so now once the water is transformed, it will be extracted into these fluid tanks. Now, they're all getting inserted into this one and this one at the minute. So if you go from here, and we configure it, and we want to turn this around, we want to pull from this tank. And that way, any witch water from there will get pushed into here. Now we want to go to this tank, and do the same thing and pull from there. So any witch water from this tank will get pulled in that tank. And if we go back in this one, and we turn this around, we want to push into this tank, which will be this one. So now all the witch water is getting put into this tank. And that's basically our witch water form. I mean, you could, if you need witch water for whatever reason, that's also a pretty good form. This is just constant. It doesn't cost you anything to keep it running. This will just keep going and going and going. I don't know, just, eventually these will fill up, and you can make as many tanks as you want and get as much witch water as you want, but that's not really what we need for the purpose of getting slime. So now we want to go onto the parts where we make it into blood. Okay, so now for the blood area, you're going to need a few more things. So you're going to need 22 stone barrels, and you're going to need 22 compressed flesh block. Now to make the compressed flesh block, it's 9 rotten flesh. And you should have a mob form set up by now. And oh, it's raining. We just do /weather clear. This is actually a savannah / desert area, so we're not really getting much rain here. So yeah, we want to go this block in. So we can go right, then diagonally. And we want to go 11 blocks across, 2 wide. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And we'll do the same thing with the stone barrel. Just place them all on top. Now we want all the witch water to come out of here into the stone barrel to transform into blood. Just go above and come along like so. As you can see here on this one, I did the exact same thing, and these two are actually separated, which we will actually do that after, in case you were wondering how that works. So now we want to extract out of this tank. We're going on extract, always active, and that will start filling these guys up with witch water, and that will transform them into blood. And so now, once it transforms into blood, we want to take the blood out and put that into a tank to be used for making slime. So we want to put 1 tank on every single barrel. I know this form is quite heavily expensive on fluid conduits, but you know, it's a small price to pay for unlimited slime. So yeah, it's definitely worth it in my opinion. Awesome. Now we want to put the tank. If we go over here, I put the tank. I actually put 2 tanks just in case this blocks up, just as an emergency precaution, really. And so we're going to do the exact same thing again on this one, except this time I'm going like that. Now on the other form, you can avoid having to mess with the pipes here by just having them collect on this side, connect, and so you can completely avoid having to fix that area over here, which is what I'm going to do on this design. So now you want to go on all 22 barrels, click on the square, extract, and always active, and that will suck out any transformed blood and put them into the tank. Okay, so that's great. So now all of our transformed bloods will go through these pipes into this tank, and if you go into this tank and configure it and we go pull, that means any blood that comes into this tank will be pulled into this tank. And that's basically the form for making blood. So we have our witch water form that connects to our blood form, which will go into this tank. And so these guys, oh, they're so slow actually. That's, I think the biggest ones are on 70-odd%. But as you can see, our witch water has gone right down, but we have completely filled all of these guys. And so as you can see, these guys are still transforming. So we should have, like, see, our tank's completely empty, so there's no backing it whatsoever. These will finish transforming and refill just in time for this to need to be refilled, and it's going to work out really nicely. So now once we have this done, we can start working on the area to make the clay, to use the dust. So let's do that bit next. Okay, so I'm going to start with the lava generation part of this form now. If we go to our sink here and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we want to make this into a 3x3 area, and this is where our crucibles are going to go. So now we've got to go under and place 9 netherrack. Netherrack is pretty easy to make. You just get lava in a stone barrel, put redstone on top, and you get netherrack. I think you all know how to make flint and steel, just flint and iron. And then very early on, you should know what this thing is. It's a crucible. It turns cobblestone into lava, and the speed of the transformation of cobblestone to lava depends on what's underneath it. So you could use a torch, which is 1 times, or you can use lava, which is 3 times, or you can use fire, which is 4 times. so fire is obviously the best choice. Now we want to fill this thing up with cobblestone, and so to do that, as you can see over here, I'm using a Cobblestone Generator tier 2. I'm going to keep using a tier 2 because these things are so cheap to make. You should already have one of these. If you don't already, it's just a regular Cobblestone Generator, which is just fire, water and cobblestone, and then surrounded by iron. And you could even upgrade it to a diamond one, but you could get more cobblestone than you need for this. But if you already have some sort of lava generation, then this part of the tutorial isn't important anyway for you. So the first thing we're going to do is get our cobblestone to go into these barrels. I'm going to bring it over from this side. So if you just put it on all of these. Now you can use a wrench to do this. So if you get one of these guys, you can just go on this bit here and right click, and the arrow points down, and that means it will only insert items. But if you can't afford to make one of these, or you should be able to really, or you just choose not to, you can just go on and insert, and that's just the exact same thing. So whatever you prefer. Okay, and last of all, we want to go into this guy and set to always active. And now this will fill up with cobblestone, and it will slowly start to make lava. So now we want to extract the lava, and as you can see, I have it all going into one tank. Now this tank is completely overfilled because this is too much lava for 3 generators. But you can add some, so you can like put, let's say 9 generators really, or even more, depending on what your outage is. And so the more crucibles, the more lava, which means the more generators, which means the more power. But for a farm like this, I'm going with 3 generators. But if you want, you can put as many tanks as you want, and it will fill up with lava quite fast. And I'm getting rain very fast on this for some reason. So yeah, I'm just going to transport it all into one tank. So you put this tank here, we get our fluid conduits, and we connect it. Now you can also do a trick with a wrench, where if you don't like that's attaching here for cosmetic reasons, if you click on it a few times, it'll actually disappear, and it'll stop connecting. And we want to click these all up. One of the great things about Ender is that you can have energy conduits, fluid conduits, and item conduits all in the same block. So now we want to go on each individual square like before. We want to click on this one because this is for the item conduit, and this is for the fluid conduit. We're going to go on extract and always active. And we want to do that on all 9 conduits. Great, so now we have here our lava generator. So this is all making lava. It's, as you can see, it's still pretty slow, but it's fast enough for what we need it for. So now we want to go into our power section and making the dust. So we can get rid of this stuff. I think I'm done with the tank for now. Get rid of this, get rid of that. Okay, so now if you come over here, I'm going to keep tracing back to this because I want to explain it as I'm making it so you understand. You can just copy this block for block and not understand how it works, but I think it's better if I show you the understanding of how this works too. And so, if I go over here and then grab one of these guys, and I grab one of these guys, grab one of these guys, grab one of these, and one of these. Okay, so what we want to do first of all, is get our magmatic generators and put them here. And now if I go for a fluid conduit, stick these in here. Now you can disable these so they're not connected there, but to be honest, it's not really going to make a difference anyway. It's just looks wise, depending on your opinion. So now we want to extract, always active on these, and these will start filling up with lava and producing RF, or electricity basically. And these can store up to 100,000 RF. Now if you want, you could put a capacitor here, a capacitor, and that will store energy, and it can go from the capacitor to the auto hammers if you want to use other machines from this energy source. But for me, I'm going straight into the slime only for this, so I'm not going to bother with any of that. And so, what we want to do now is get our these here. We want to place our hammers. So I'm placing mine, I think I actually went right up close, yep. So I'm going to place one here, here, and here. Now the placement of these doesn't really matter too much as long as they're all together. I'm going to put a barrel here. So now you can go from this cobblestone generator and connect it up from here. It doesn't matter how you connect it up, the pipe doesn't matter where it goes, as long as it connects up to this hammer here. So if you just go along like this, it doesn't have to look amazing, it just has to work in my opinion. But you can make this look a lot prettier if you want to go. You can go underground and go up so you don't even see the pipe if you want. That's completely your choice. Then we want to go from extract in always active, and we want to go on to insert. So that will fill up with cobblestone. Now we want to use the energy that we're getting from these magmatic generators to power these three hammers. So we're going to go on top of these three and go along like this. And now all three of these will be getting power. As you can see, the red bar has gone up. And that's actually going to start consuming energy and hammer the cobblestone into gravel. And so now what we actually want to do is move these along a bit. Like that. So we can break you. And we're going to put one item conduit here, one item conduit here, and one item conduit here. So what this one's going to do is it's going to take the gravel out of here and put it into this hammer. So we're going to go always active and insert. So that's going to suck the gravel up, and now this gravel is going to be hammered into sand. And then we want to take the sand out, extract it into this hammer, which is going to turn it into dust. So you're doing the exact same thing on both of these. And then we want to take the dust and we want to put it in this barrel. But for that we need to fill this barrel with water, which is what I have here, another sink. Now like I said earlier on this video, you can get water going from this sink to here as well if you want. But it's a lot easier to just put a sink here and then put a fluid conduit here and just get fluid from here straight off. So if you go on extract and always active, that will fill up with water. And then if you go on extract, always active, and insert on this item conduit, you can see we've got clay. So that is basically our clay form right here. I know this pipe doesn't look very good, but again, you can go underground with it if you want to make it look nicer. On this one, I believe I just went for another generator into here. But that's pretty wasteful considering you have one just there. And that produces more than enough cobblestone for the lava and to put in here. So it's whatever your preference is. I think it would be a waste. But again, at this point you should have so many materials that you can afford to do that. So now we have our clay. And what we want to do with our clay is we want to take it up, I want to suck it into a drawer, and from the drawer into a sag mill, and then from the sag mill it gets turned into clay, which will go into a drawer, into the barrel, and also the silicon will go into a drawer. It sounds very complicated, but it's really not as bad as it sounds. So if we want to go out of here, and we actually grab a sag mill, I'll just grab this one. We're going to push you into there. Now we also need to power this thing, and I'm putting it there so we can just quickly hook it up without having to make too many energy conduits. Now I've made this design as compact as I can for the energy conduits because these things, they're not expensive, but they're just a bit of a pain to make. So I wanted it to be as tight as I can with the item conduits, or a little bit easier. So this thing is going to be getting powered, and we want to suck up. Oh, I just attached the energy conduit there. Didn't mean to. Put that back there. We're going to extract, always active, and we have to break this block a bit to go down and go on insert. So we go like that. Now this thing is going to be getting clay inside now. It's going to be making clay and silicon. Now if I make a fella here like this, and actually change this so that you're on insert, and you're actually on in and out. So we're inserting the clay like before, but it can also extract items. And we're going to extract always, and we're going to want you to get filled up with clay at some point. The key is just to keep breaking it until, there we go, there's some silicon. Oh, I actually just broke that, that was a bad idea. There we go. There, now silicon will only go in there, now the clay won't go in there. because it won't accept it. So now what we want to do is also have somewhere for the clay to go into. And as you can see over here, I've got it over here, which I'm going to do the same again for. So I'm going to have an item conduit going from here into a drawer. I'm going to put it like on its side this time, make it look a bit nicer. You know what? There, that looks nicer. Should clear the weather again. It's really rainy around here. You want to go and extract always. I want to go on insert. Now you should get filled with clay, and we want to use that clay to go into a barrel to make our slime. So if I grab this barrel here and I go, let's just put it here, let's say. I want to fill you with the blood from our blood factory. A blood factory doesn't sound very nice, does it? We want to insert into the barrel and extract from out the tank. So you should fill with blood. Then we want to, oh, wrong one. We're going to put an item conduit here from this drawer with the clay in. Go and extract, always active, and insert. And now we have slime. So now if you just grab a drawer, let's put it say here, and put an item conduit on the stone barrel, extract, always active, and insert, and there you go. We're now officially making slime blocks. And we've got 4, 5, 6, 7. It's because we have so much blood stored up from when we were making it, the factory thing, that it's very much backed up. But once it gets all the clay and all the blood going, it'll even out a bit, and all these will empty, and all these will empty, and it'll be like just like over there. So that's basically it. You have your slime factory. You could call it slime and silicon factory if you want, but I'm not really that bothered about the silicon. I'm more interested in getting slime. Slime was used for loads of things, for decorative reasons, crafting recipes, tinker's tools. It makes really good handles, I think it is. So yeah, it's great for all sorts. That's basically it. So one of the many bonuses of this also is that you can have loads of energy left over. So if you have any other machines you want running from this, you know, you're more than welcome to. And again, if you get too many machines and need more power, just add more magmatic generators. And if you don't have enough lava, just add more crucibles. It's really simple to expand this and make it much bigger. If you wanted more slime, make more wooden barrels and more stone barrels. You can make this as big or as small as you want. That's one of the great things about this design. You can adapt it and change it to what you need. And as you can see, this is already going down really fast. And we have 49 slime blocks just while I was making this. And I've made this in real time. I've made it quite fast. So you'll get as much slime as you need for Skyfactory pretty fast with this design. And that's basically it. If you have any thoughts or improvements you can think of for this design, let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. If you thought I've done this a little too fast and I haven't taken enough breaks and pauses between words, I'm really sorry. That's just how I speak and that's the way I do things. But of course there's always that pause button if you need to catch up. So, you know, use that as much as you want. So this is my design for a slime generator. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any other forms of generators that you want me to help you design or you have ideas for, let me know in the comments and I'll get right onto that. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.